Hi, everybody. I just wanted to hop in quick before today's episode to remind you that we are doing a giveaway of 6 months of Realms Plus subscription. All you gotta do is subscribe and leave a comment. The more comments, the more chances you have to win. See our community tab for the full rules and conditions of the contest. And with that, let's get on with today's episode. Hello, everybody. My name is MNovate, and this is Shifted Reality, Season 2, Episode 30. Now, in our last episode, we got this nice little farming community going, complete with some structured housing and 2 little market stalls that we now have butchers working at both of them, as well as 5 farmers happily tending to their fields. This will add some much needed life and longevity to our overall base, and we will continue on with that design as we continue up the path to the next level of the mountain climb, which unfortunately takes us to right here. This is going to be a little bit of a tricky part. As you can see, we have a little bit of an overhang. There is a small cave back here that we need to address. There's some lighting in there, but occasionally zombies come out of there, so we need to make sure we're protected from that, and we don't want to fall down that hole. And we have a singular house up here, as well as attaching to what the game originally considered to be the village center, which is this tree with the emergency warning bells. Now we also have this nice green area that is over our portal and creates a rather unique lookout point, vantage point, something I may consider. But one of the big things I want to do is figure out a spot in a permanent home for our cartography map, and I think that's what we're going to utilize this space for, which means these chickens will probably have to go bye-bye, but we'll figure something out with them if we want to just cook them or relocate them. I'm not sure. We'll see what we come up with. You know, I think I have enough warm chicken eggs that if I decide I want to use these guys, I can get more back. Now, I thought for a while about what I wanted to do with this space, and ultimately clearing out the chicken pen that was right here just feels like the best course of action. Of course, there's other things to do yet, but for the time being at least, we're going to just eliminate the chicken pen, and I think that'll make this project a little bit easier. And I just need to clean up this wall a little bit next. Hello. Where did you come from? I do have lighting down here. Obviously, it is not sufficient. As I was saying, now that I've cleared out this wall some and made it a bit more of a blank canvas, let's consider what we are going to do today. Oh, creeper. Jeez, where are you guys coming from? A convention? Alright, here we go. Now we have, not only did we clean up this wall quite a bit, we put in this little archway that is going to be utilized in for our overall building and establishing what we're doing with this background area here that we keep having creepers and zombies wander out and try to kill us and kill our villagers. So definitely a point that we need to fortify and make safe. And now the nice thing is, now that we have this arch, we can go ahead and utilize that a little bit further for some additional cleaning up. Alright, now that we have not only cleaned up and we created this archway, I dug the archway back a little bit just so that we can work at getting some additional structure into this wall here. And And this might be coming out to be a bit more than I initially anticipated, but we will see where we end up. Oh, I see why the two sides don't look the same. Alright, now that we have that dug out, and you notice the arch inside is one deeper than the arch on the outside, and that's because we want to give this a finished look, but also give it a little bit of a shadowy look, while still allowing for light to come through. And we're going to do that, again, by utilizing tuff, which is a little bit of a darker block than the cobblestone. And we're just going to change this a little bit. There we go. And I dug this back in a little bit extra distance because I wanted to put a wall block here for that inner slab look. But I don't want the individual ridges so if it connects to the wall behind it. So we're going to leave that as a little gap back there. There we go. Now that layer of deep slate brick next to the tough brick is going to give the deeper shade and color. Ow. Oh, come on. And that's how you go about turning a small hole in the wall into a large, massive hole in the wall. And you now have this little stare down. From any angle you look at, it just looks like it goes deeper and darker. And then with the gradient between the cobblestone, tough, deep slate brick, and then the deep slate tile, it makes it look like it's getting darker and darker as it moves further away from the light. Which I imagine this is probably going to look pretty cool once we get vibrant visuals on it. But for the time being, this looks great even without that. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And with that, we have transformed our small little hole leading into a natural cave into the entrance of the Frosthaven dungeons. I have learned from past experience that digging down and building underground isn't nearly as much of a payoff because it takes a lot of time and not everyone's going to see it since it's not as visible from the surface. So for the time being, this is just going to be a facade to something that maybe or may not become a future project. But one step at a time, and we are definitely making progress. Not sure what to yet, but we are making progress of some sort. Well, if you look at this, I think the best course of action is to take on our blank canvas of a wall here and start decorating it for the next event we're going to do. We got a little bit right there at the base of the turnabout, and then we also have to extend up the little makeshift mock tower that we put on in a previous episode. So that's what we're at with today. Well, I mean, that's a start overall of what we're trying to get for. And it's looking pretty good. I think it's going to come together. We got a little bit of a feedback from our live stream. And it helped us to really define and get a bit of a color pop into there that's going to work out pretty well, I think. So let's get the rest of this finished. All in all, I'm liking how that's looking on, and one of the things we discussed while I was working on the live stream was maybe incorporating something like a creeper face. And while I didn't really feel like I had the room to do a creeper face justice in those little spots, and they also kind of feel a bit overdone, I thought, you know what, there's a different chiseled face that has been making its appearance in our build so far through the use of the chiseled bricks, and that is the creaking face. And so I kind of felt like putting in a creaking face into our wall. Right now it stands out a little bit too much, but I think once we finish working on this detail, it'll look a lot better. Although I did ultimately kind of decide it felt like it was a little too high up, so I moved it down 2 blocks just to see if that would work a little better. And once it doesn't quite line up with the line next to it, I think I can work with this. This is just one of those building moments that I really enjoy. Just, you had the central figure, and I knew I need to fill in around it, and step by step, just a little bit here, a little bit there, just everything just kept feeling right, and never anything out of place. Just one thing after another, just it all comes together. And it's actually a little creepy, I think, because like you got the blue lanterns that remind me of the ice, the whole Frosthaven Cove that we haven't really had a chance to theme too much around, other than the shipping yards and such, because we still have to get up to the ice ridge of the mountain yet. That'd be embarrassing. We name ourselves after the icy mountain peaks and never actually get up there to build anything. But otherwise, it's almost like a altar and homage. They know this creaking lurks in the area. They've utilized it to gather the resin to build their villages, and they know that they owe it. You know what? I knew. Look at that right there. I knew I accidentally put non-wax stairs in there. Ah. What do you think of this? Oh, what do you think of this area?
Dungeon. Let me in.
Well, I haven't actually put a dungeon down there yet.
Poo.
It's a maybe project.
Oh, God.
What does this look like to you?
Creaky?
Nice. So last night on live stream, we extended this tower right here all the way up to the top of our retaining wall. And we completed, or at least started on adding in some texture detail over here just to blend in that ugly stone cobblestone. But the neat thing about this is, even though there's a gap or a depth between the two, the lines we managed to achieve at the right angles actually do line up and create a consistent look throughout the lower level to the higher level. And then again, we have that spruce log that goes across and it connects over there. Even though there's that depth difference as well, you can see that it connects. You can see a link between the design, between the options. So this came out better than we expected. And for now, I think I can actually leave that as is and move on to the next building structure. Let's go get it. This is why I decided to try my hand at streaming a bit, because when I started this episode, building this building was not on my to-do list. And when I started building this building, putting a basement in was not on my to-do list. But here we are. It just evolved and felt necessary. And now we have a basement to a building that was not planned at the start of this episode. And we got to get it done quickly so that we can actually get to what I wanted to get done and promised that I would at the very beginning. Oh my gosh. So much to do. Tuft is such a weird block to work with. It looks so good with the different variety of the textures that all blend together. So, whilst it's certainly not hard to come by, I never seem to have enough for any project I want to do. So when this all started, I did not expect to be making this large man-made reinforced cave entrance to a dungeon stairwell, and it just, one thing led to another, and this kind of came out of nowhere. So then my thought was, I want to put in some guard towers. Well, I didn't have room for the circular towers I wanted to put in. Just, it wasn't going to fit here. So then I need to elongate it. And when I elongated it, it just became this kind of a prison entrance, which then I'm thinking, okay, I want this to be intimidating when you come into it. I want you to feel like the walls are closing around you as you come in. And that's why I kind of put in the tuft and the two varying sides. And what I'm trying to accomplish here is, whilst here we have the open ceiling, right? I'm not going to close this off. But then here, right before the doors to go into the dungeon, it's sealed off on the top. So as you walk in through this archway, it just feels like you're being marched down into a depth that you will not be returning to or returning from. And, oh, hello, creeper. Where'd you come from? Look, I saw like I out of the corner of my eye. Holy kick. And then I wanted to make it so that any guards who were inside could see who's coming and going. So I wanted to try and get windows next to the doors here. But that proved its own challenge because I wanted a more or less complete wall along the bottom here. But I also wanted to have a tight-fitting security window. You know, something that maybe you could get in here, crouch in, shoot out, but not easily be able to shoot back in if you're an invader. You're like, oh, I want to get in here and shoot before. Oh, you can't really get in there until they're in the crosshairs. Ideally, real world, maybe I'd probably get this a little bit tighter. Like if I could fit in a trapdoor or something right here, but you know, Minecraft hitboxes and shapes are kind of limited with what you have. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we are going to keep moving and get this done because I really want to get a place for that map. Oh my gosh. So much to do yet, and so little time. Now, last season when I did this, I had another portal that fed right into a crimson forest, which made it easy to bring them out of the nether. Even though we're so close to nether, I don't actually have an easy way to get to and from a crimson forest. So this time, we are going to, well, install some lightning rods and pray for rain. A little bit worried about waiting around for a thunderstorm, but hopefully it will come sooner rather than later. Now that we have our two piglin guards keeping watch over the entrance to our dungeons, let's get on to what I promised I was going to get to this episode, and that is making a permanent home for our maps of the village and the base in general. Now I decided we're going to put it up here. This is right on top of this edge here. Yeah, I'm actually going to move this entire thing forward to like right here, I guess. But otherwise, this is going to be the foundation of what we are working on today, which is to finish off a permanent location for our map. Oh man, this thing looks so huge from this angle without the hopefully soon to exist building around it. I don't know, maybe I went too large or went too large too fast. Maybe you kind of see what it's supposed to be. It looks pretty silly, honestly. Almost Dr. Seussian, I would say, in its design. Like, if you were to ask Dr. Seuss to come along and draw a Minecraft thing, this feels like something he would do. But that's okay. I'm kind of digging it. I'm going to roll with it. Now that we have some walls in and a roof on, and the roof is starting to turn green for us, the look or the goal of what we're trying to accomplish is a little bit more clear, I think. However, the telescope is still comically large and ill-proportioned. It needs to be updated. That's for certain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse angle this. I'm going to start at this outer edge where we put in the lens and work at building it back into the building itself. And we're not going to try and drop it quite so significantly. Maybe we might need to put in some sort of platform or something to stand on to, quote unquote, look through the telescope, but hopefully this will look a little better once we get around to rebuilding everything. Oh man, you can definitely tell that we are working on the edges of where we have done most of our mob proofing, because I am still dying on a regular basis from random stuff. But, you know, that's okay. We can recover everything. Clear out the riffraff. They're pretty much sheltered from the active village. We just gotta... Seriously. Okay, let's try this again. Second time is a charm, right? Alright, they wandered off, so this should be nice and safe. I still got my bow, which is probably the better option, hopefully. I mean, the one guy still has my sword and shield, so I can't really defend that way. What are you distracted by? Oh, that's my benefit. Okay, so the telescope is still comically large, and when it starts entering into the building, I still change from a gradual slope to a more noticeable curve, and I cannot escape that sense of Dr. Seuss when I look at it. But overall, I'm thinking this is looking better. We have the fences and trapdoors here to give a nice scaffolding look, to look like it's being supported. The copper roof is aging into a nice green color that will give it a contrasting look to the copper telescope. And yes, everything should be polished and waxed now, so that should stay nice and shiny, whilst the rest of the roof will oxidize fully into the green color. And we have the nice little lens in the middle, and yeah, there's some glowstone that's visible, but that helps with the ambiance and keeping this area nice and safe. Overall, what do you think of the observatory for our new map room? In the meantime, we now have a new safe space for our map that we won't have to worry about moving it again. We just need to clean it up once in a while and update it as we change the terrain. And as you can see, we've been working a little bit expanding out a river. The goal is, of course, to make it look like a mighty delta that ships can sail in and out of, as this will be a port of call for ships to come down from higher trading posts before departing into the ocean, or to cross the seas to foreign lands and carry across their great resources. I think our village is coming along nicely. Well, if you've come this far and you're really thinking, wow, I really wish I could see more in-depth views as to his design process and how he builds these things, do check out the live streams. I've been experimenting with doing them a little bit more frequently. They go up on the channel, usually around the evenings, Central Time USA. But let me know what you think and what you want to see. If you engage me in the chat, I'll be more than happy to discuss and walk through any questions or designs that you might have. Bye everyone. See you next week on the next Shifted Reality.